Hey everyone, it's Zen and welcome back to my updated deck lists for the old yellow leaders in the new and upcoming set of Dragon Ball Super Fusion World card game. And I just needed to share some more of these amazing deck building ideas for leaders like Frieza, Ginyu, or can we please talk about Cooler and how his new cards are actually insane? Now you can run an entire meta Cooler deck, but we'll get into that much later. With that, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's jump right into it with our first leader, the starter deck Frieza. And now right off the bat, when you look at this, pretty standard. It has the potentials of topping like potential right here because we're running our Ginyu package. But I think the cards that I want to point out first are all the new cards, right? We have our two Majin Buus, which if you don't know, Majin Buu is the brand new card coming to yellow that has barrier, a brand new keyword that a lot of people are upset about. So sorry, not sorry, but it's definitely a time to be a yellow player, that's for sure. On top of that, when KO'd, discard one card from your hand and then just bring it back in rest mode. So this card can never be really removed, which is insane. Once you play this, which is why we only have 2 copies, you don't really need more. Once we play this, as long as we have cards in our hand that we can discard, we're never losing it. It's always coming back, and we will always technically have a permanent body that will be on the field for 25k, which is good again into Broly, good into so many things, right? And then we have 2 other new cards. Let's start with this Vegeta right here. How many copies? We have 3 copies of this, and this is a 25k body, 4-drop, which is great because you could essentially swing twice with this and then activate your leader's ability to then restand it and never have to worry. So check this out. Activate main once per turn. Choose up to one of your opponent's rest mode battle cards with a cost of 3 or less and knock it out. Then switch this card to active mode. What does that mean? That means you can swing with this, blow up a card, cost 3 or less, really good into red and other yellow decks, and then bring this back to active mode and swing again, right? There's no reason why you wouldn't, because your leader, Frieza, when awakened, can restand it for you. It's actually pretty nuts. And then our final new card for this is Final Explosion. Oh, look at that, both finals. Activate main for 3 energy. Choose all of your opponent's battle cards with a cost of 3 or less, switch them to rest mode. Then choose up to 2 of your opponent's rest mode battle cards with the cost of 4 or less and knock them out. Now, this by itself, I don't think is good. I think it's really good after turn 5 or after turn 4, something like that. You can get a lot more advantage from it when you already have a 4-drop Son Goku on the board or your Golden Frieza, right? Because then you can at least freeze those copies that you don't really want to worry about or can't really affect with Final Explosion, and then blow up everything else or freeze them is what I mean. Yeah. And then moving on to everything else, we have 4 copies of Bulma, which synergizes with our 4 copies of our SR Vegeta, really good into green. 4 of our Friezas here that rest mode any card when on play. 4 drawing Sorbits, 4 Ginyus, 4 2-drop self-awakening Friezas, 2 Nais, really good blocker that forces you to self-awaken. So if you're already awakened, you're not going to want to play this. You're going to want to use this for combo. Literally, there's no reason to play this. We have our 4 Rakums that help us synergize with this Ginyu. We have our 4 copies of Son Goku, 3 copies of Golden Frieza, 2 copies of the secret rare Golden Friezas, and then our 4 super combos. Pretty standard deck. The strategy is get as many bodies on the board as possible, as many Ginyus. If your opposing leader is only a 20k at max, then yeah, build up your board with a bunch of 20k bodies and just go ham. If it's a 25k, then you're probably going to want to use your new 4-drop Vegeta, a couple Final Explosions, maybe get some Son Gokus out there until you could finally get that Golden Frieza, either the 5-drop or the 6-drop to do some really strong damage. Yeah, that's going to be the Frieza deck list. Again, pretty standard, nothing crazy, but I think it's honestly going to be staple. I mean, what set have we seen where Frieza has fallen below top 4? It's literally been like top 2 for the last 2 sets, and I don't think set 3 is going to change very much. This ability is too nuts. Let's move on to this leader who I am so thankful for is about to get an insane buff right here. I guess we could talk about the new cards for it. Let's talk about the Vegeta. We already talked about this. It does the same thing that we just talked about. Activate main, it gets to swing twice, right? Or you could at least restand it and not worry about your opponents because we don't have that ability to restand our battle cards. Instead, our ability is to restand energy, right? which is really good with all of these cards. We have a mistake here. It looks like I was looking at this card. I didn't want this in. You notice there's one energy blast. It's actually not supposed to be in here. Now our deck total is correct. We want 50. I was testing something out. You don't really need that, but the rest of our energy is really good. We have our 2 Blue Power Awakening, very strong card. You can literally activate during main and just blow up a 6 cost or more, really strong into green, especially if you don't have your secret rare golden Frieza out on the field. Or you can boost a battle card or a leader by 25k for 2 energy. Again, with this leader standing 2 of our rest mode energies, it's pretty strong. And then we have time reround, which can only be activated during your opponent's turn. Choose your leader or a battle card. It gets plus 20k, and then choose up to one of your battle cards and switch it to active mode. You don't actually have to do that second portion, but it is something to note, right? It is something that you can do if you need to do it. Then we have our Death Ball here, which is actually pretty good, especially going into, say, something like a Beerus that has a Frost, or mainly red, where we want to rest their 3 costs so we can, take them out on the following turn. You get to boost one of your cards by 15k and then rest a 3 cost or less. And our final card for the extras is Final Explosion. We already talked about this. Choose all of your cards with a cost of 3 or less, your opponent's cards, switch them to rest mode, then choose 2 of your opponent's rest mode battle cards with a cost of 4 or less and just knock them out. Pretty strong extra cards, right? But the thing that makes this so good for Vegeta right now is we have 1, 2, how many? 2, I can't, math is so hard for me. We have 9, 9 extra cards that we could essentially use for free with our ability, right? But after that, you're kind of stuck, right? You got nothing. You got to use your combos. Oh, wait, what's this? A brand new Bulma card, 3 copies of it. One that has an activate main, switch this card to rest mode, add up to 1 yellow extra card with the cost of 2 or less from your drop to your hand. So with this card, you can literally cycle all these cards back. And then something like Time Reround, you can restand it and hopefully not worry about it. I mean, if you're going into red, they're going to have damage reduction, and yeah, there's no shot. You're going to keep this alive. Blue, they have the 1-drop Zamasus, right? Even green, they have the Kamis. So it's going to be tough, right? But if you get lucky, I mean, at least bringing one of those cards back is going to be pretty helpful. And then the other brand new card that is insane. You guys, this thing is actually pretty nuts. At the end of your turn, for 1 energy, your leader gets 5k power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So now our Vegeta turns into a Broly. Also, I forgot to mention, I'm pretty sure we get to choose the order of our abilities. So the first ability we proc at the end of our turn is by standing 2 of our energy, and then we use this Vegeta's ability. So now we have a standing Broly as our leader, which forces our opponent to use resources like cards with more combo, cards with more power to even attack, right? Throw in something like this SR Vegeta, they can't blow up any of our cards. We're doing some crazy things. This deck is going to be so annoying, and I'm so excited to run it. Now let's go over all the other cards. We have 4 copies of our 1-drop Drawing Sorbet, 3 copies of Bulma, also 3 copies of this Bulma, and both of them synergize with the Vegeta, mind you. We have 4 copies of our Resting Frieza, 4 copies of our Self-Awakening 2-drop Frieza right here. We already talked about all these cards. 3 copies of our Son Goku, 2 copies of our Double Striker, and 1 secret rare Golden Frieza, as well as our super combos. But yeah, this blue Vegeta for yellow, is it called blue Vegeta for yellow? That's kind of weird, right? Just yellow Vegeta, or God Vegeta. What is the name for this one? This is a tough one. Anyway, this Vegeta, honestly, Frieza might have to step aside. We got a new sheriff in town. I'm really excited to see how well this Vegeta is going to do in the upcoming set. I really think it's gonna top a lot of tournaments. Moving on, Ginyu. Yeah, he's back. Now, I don't know if this is like insanely good, right? There's only 1 new card that was introduced that helps the Ginyu package. But just in case you don't know, this is actually a really free deck to grind out and like rush the ladder if you're looking to rank up. The only issue is when you go up against, Zamasu Fused or Broly, they are 25k bodies and we just lose resources. We could technically add our 2 or 3 drop new Ginyu card that boosts 2 of our Ginyu cards by 5k, but it's not really helpful. It's still possible to beat those leaders, especially with bonds of Ginyu, right? But I don't know. It's kind of annoying. Anyway, this leader, first of all, when you awaken and flip over, you get to restand 1 energy. Okay. Now, if you know anything about Ginyus, when this Ginyu gets on the board with at least two other Frieza army battle cards, it gets to restand 2 of your energy. Okay, pretty nuts, right? There's a lot of restanding. And then this is the brand new Raccoon card, where on play you draw a card and then discard a card from your hand, then activate main, switch this card to rest mode. If your leader has Ginyu Force in its special traits, which it does, switch up to 1 of your energies to active mode. So you'll always have 1 free extra energy. And that's pretty much it. The strategy behind this is to, get your Vegeta out there so they can't blow up your board, rest everyone. Also, Vegeta synergizes with Jace, which is pretty cool. Get as many of your Ginyu cards onto the board and then swing with them, right? And then if you can, use your ability here, which honestly, it costs so much. It's a good ability, but for 3 energy, right? Discard 2 cards from your hand, choose all of your battle cards with Ginyu Force in their special traits, and then switch them to active mode. Now, this isn't bad when you remember that the brand new Raccoon restands a card. So it's actually restands an energy. So it's actually 2 energy if you really think about it, and discarding 2 cards. And on top of that, it's actually 1 energy because this guy restands and you can do the ability again. It doesn't say once per turn here. It says activate main. So this single Raccoon made this a 1 cost ability if you use it correctly, which is insane. This is once per turn. After having this Raccoon on the board, if you had 2 of these Raccoons on the board, it's essentially free. It's actually insane. So again, it's going to be hard going into like Broly's and Zamasu fused, but if you have your bonds of the Ginyu and you have like 5 Ginyus on the board, you just use this, and yeah, they're either wasting all of their resources or combos, or they are getting wrecked. I'm really excited for Ginyu. It's such a cheesy deck, but if you know how to use this correctly, this ability actually, I think that's why they did it. They brought this card because they realized, our Ginyu ability is kind of detrimental. This is the worst ability in the game for the cost. But with this single Raccoon, again, if you have 2 of them, that's a free ability. All you have to do is discard 2 cards from your hand. And again, with this card, you're always drawing 2 cards whenever you play this because you have Ginyu Force on the field. So it's not too bad. It's really not too bad. You can discard cards like your Golden Frieza, because like, why would you even want to play that when you can swing for like 10 times in a single round with this ability? You could discard this Frieza. You could discard any of these 2 cards. Pretty much anything else, even these 2 cards. What you don't want to discard is your Ginyu Force. That's pretty much it. Captain Ginyu right here, looking pretty strong at this set 3. I might start off the rank climb with this one just to cheese my opponents, especially Piccolo's. I can't have them get up to 8 energy. I gotta end the game by turn 4. All right, which brings us to the final leader, Cooler. And now if you look at this deck list, you're probably wondering, what the heck? There's a lot of brand new cards here, and listen, this deck is insane. Let's just start from the start right here. Our leader's ability, he's a crit leader, doesn't draw, turns it to 20k. At 4 life or less, you get to awaken, right? So once we awaken, this is where the cool ability happens. Once per turn during our battle or our main phase, which is really strong, which means you can actually activate this during your opponent's turn when they activate or start a battle phase, right? Discard 1 card from your hand and then choose up to 1 of your battle cards with a cost of 4 or less and Frieza Clan in their special traits, or 1 of your energy cards and switch them to active mode. Now, when it says discard 1 card from your hand, there's only going to be 1 card that you're going to want to discard, and I think it's the Metal Cooler, and you'll see why. Anyway, we have 4 Bulmas, which synergizes with our 4 SR Vegetas, 4 Drawing Sorbits, 4 Self-Awakening Friezas, 4 Nizes, and now let's go look at this one first. The 3-drop Meta Cooler, where he's a blocker. You can swing with him, you can use your leader's ability if you want, but also at the end of the turn, goes right back to being active mode, which means he can block again for you. Pretty strong defensively. And then we have 12 copies of Metal Cooler here. 10k combo, pretty nice card. Don't judge me for this. There's actually a reason. Permanent ability, you can have as many of these cards in your deck that you want. You could run an entire Meta Cooler deck. I don't know why you would, but 12 seems to be a pretty good number, especially for this deck. Now, when KO'd, you can then play up to 1 Metal Cooler with the cost of 3 from your hand. So again, you could play another one of these or one of these. Nothing too crazy. Now, the card that is actually insane, you guys, right here. This one. Switch this card to rest mode, play up to 2 Metal Cooler cards with a cost of 3 or less from your drop, into rest mode. Now, why is this card insane? Because again, we can always discard here from our hand. Probably not here, but if this is already there, that's fine, right? So now let me paint you a picture. We use this ability, we switch this card to rest mode, and then we bring 2 of our coolers, these guys. Now they're on the board, everybody's rested. So we have our 4-drop that's rested, and we have 2 of these that are rested, or even 2 of these, right? Because remember, they restand at the end of your turn. It's probably more optimal. Guess what? We use our ability here, discard another one of these 2 cards. This guy restands because he's a 4-drop Frieza clan, and you get to do it again. So you just brought 4 metal coolers onto the board on turn 4, 5 technically. Do you see what I'm talking about? Like, that's insane. This is insane potential right here. And then of course we have our 40k body Frieza. Synergizes really well with this because you could restand it and swing essentially twice for 40k. And then even if it's rested on your opponent's turn, you can restand it. Nothing too crazy. We have our final explosion. We have our 4 super combos, Bibbidi here, and then 2 supernovas, because again, just being able to swing with any of these and do that much damage is crazy. But yeah, I think once you're able to get a metal cooler core onto the board, that ability is insane. It is so good. But yeah, there you have it. Let me know what you guys think about these brand new updated decks for the yellow leaders. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.